welcome back to Simply Cooking with Donna. Now today what we're going to prepare is one of my family's favorite, chuck roast. Chuck roast is a beautiful piece of meat that has a lot of flavor in it. If you will notice in this piece of meat, what I have is a lot of marbleization going on. What the marbleization is actually fat. Fat helps to maintain the moisture of the meat as well as provide a delicious flavor. So you want to make sure that when you're picking out your piece of meat, you have actually some marbleization and that your meat is not absolutely too lean. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I have basic white onions, white mushrooms, green peppers, freshly diced carrots, green string beans, as well as russet potatoes. We'll combine all of these along with Simply Cooking with Donna all-purpose seasoning to make this meal one your family will not forget. So let's get started. So now we have all our ingredients. Everything is in its place. Remember, we've talked about in previous episodes, mise en place. We'll go ahead and get started. We're going to start with seasoning our piece of meat. And what I have here again is Simply Cooking with Donna all-purpose seasoning. This seasoning is a blend that I created. The Lord allowed me to create. And what it simply is some basic ingredients that's actually full of flavor, that's low in sodium, and it will not overpower your meat. As you can see, it makes seasoning your meat much more simpler, because what it does is it incorporates all the basic seasonings, and so you don't have to utilize individual seasonings. And so I can just simply season my piece of meat without the hassle. And if you're interested in ordering Simply Cooking with Donna all-purpose seasoning, just look at the link, follow my link at the bottom of this page, and you can place your order for some delicious seasoning. It's also available in spicy as well as sodium free. And again, our original blend has a low sodium count, so it's sure to please your family without overpowering your food. So we're getting this all seasoned up. And again, you only need about a tablespoon of seasoning, and it incorporates your black pepper and just some essential ingredients to make your food go pow. So I'll show you what it looks like with the seasoning. And again, I only used about a tablespoon of seasoning, so it's really simple. We're gonna go ahead and add our vegetables. And what we'll be adding today is onions. And I have one whole yellow onion. I've put some on the bottom as well. What the onion does is bring out a delicious flavor, and the aroma is absolutely fantastic. I'm also going to add green peppers. Again, this meat doesn't require a lot, and it already has my perfect blend of seasoning, but these fresh vegetables actually just make this delicious meal even more spectacular. I also have these, if you can see, I've placed onions and bell peppers on the bottom as well, and that only increases our flavor. I also have here mushrooms, white mushrooms, green beans, as well as potatoes. We'll add them to our dish, but now we're going to go ahead and get it covered, get it in the oven so that we can go ahead and let it cook at a temperature of 375 degrees. We'll let it cook for 2.5 hours, but prior to the completion of the roasting in the oven, we'll go ahead and unfoil and our green beans, our potatoes, and our mushrooms, as well as our beautiful carrots to make this meal spectacular. But prior to placing this meat in the oven, we're going to go ahead and add just 1 shot of water. No, it's not actually a shot of water. This is actually a Anchor measuring cup, and it actually has a capacity of 2 tablespoons. So we're going to add these 2 tablespoons to our dish, and what it'll do is it'll prevent our meat from sticking to our pan, as well as keep the moisture of our meat. And you never want your meat to lose its moisture. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull it right in like that. Just that simple. We're going to go ahead and foil, get it in the oven, and we'll be back. After we have allowed our chuck roast to roast in the oven for 1.5 hours, we took it out so that we can go ahead and incorporate our vegetables. The reason why you want to do this is because you do not want your vegetables to overcook. So we're going to go ahead. We have fresh string beans, we have potatoes, we have carrots, as well as mushrooms. And you can add as much or as little of these items to your dish as you would like. You want to make sure that especially your potatoes are immersed down in your broth. You also want to try to make sure that your potatoes are cut approximately the same size, because you want to make sure that they cook at the same time, and so that you won't have some pieces that are overcooked and some pieces undercooked. You go ahead and make sure your pieces are pretty much the same size. You place again as much or as little of the vegetables as you would like. And this creates a really, really hearty meal for your family. Or you. We're going to add some freshly cut carrots. They're so pretty. And again, you want to try to make sure that they are cut pretty much the same width so that they cook evenly. We have our fresh green beans. I'm going to top it with those. That looks so delicious. It's so colorful. And the taste is going to be spectacular. You do not want to miss out on this recipe. Again, we allowed our roast to cook for 1.5 hours. We removed it from the oven so that we could go ahead and apply our vegetables. Add just a few more mushrooms. We're going to sprinkle just a little bit of Simply Cooking with Donna all-purpose seasoning. No sugar, low in sodium. And if you need to, you can add a little water to your broth. And I'm just going to add not even 1/4 of a cup. Again, we allowed our roast to cook for 1.5 hours. We removed it from the oven so that we could go ahead and apply our vegetables. Add just a few more mushrooms. We're going to sprinkle just a little bit of Simply Cooking with Donna all-purpose seasoning. No sugar, low in sodium. And if you need to, you can add a little water to your broth. And I'm just going to add not even 1/4 of a cup. Wow, how does that look? We're going to go ahead and refoil. We're going to place it in the oven at 375 degrees for another hour to maybe 45 minutes to an hour. Be sure to check your roast because you do not want it to dry out. You want your roast to remain moist. You want your vegetables to be nice and tender, not overcooked, not undercooked. Now we've allowed our chuck roast to cook for an additional 60 minutes. This allowed our vegetables to get nice and tender, as well as incorporate all the delicious flavors together. We're going to go ahead and plate and give our meal a good taste. Let's get with it. So this meat is really tender. Our vegetables are nice and tender as well. We're just going to add a few more of our good vegetables, our potatoes and our carrots, and look at those green beans. Everything looks delicious and smells delicious. So now we're going to go ahead and give this delicious entree a taste. I'll just take a little of the meat and some of the carrots. As you can see, the carrots were able to maintain their positioning. They didn't crumble. They still have a crunch to them, but they are easy to chew. The meat is very tender. This will make for a delicious meal for during the week or the weekend. I thank you so much for your time, for tuning in with Simply Cooking with Donna. Again, this recipe can be found at the bottom of this page, as well as the information on how to purchase Simply Cooking with Donna all-purpose seasoning. Again, we look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.